How many of you like ice cream sundae bars? Salad bars? What about mashed potato bars? The majority of us like at least one of these things because humans are creatures of choice. We are drawn to things that allow us to choose our own possibilities for our best outcome. And this is why card drafting is quickly becoming one of the most popular game mechanisms in board game community. But before I get into that, let me start out by saying, what just is a game mechanism? A game mechanism is a construct of rules or methods used in gameplay to show players how they interact with both other players and with the game. And the game mechanism I'd like to focus on today is card drafting. Card drafting is a game mechanism used by game designers and is used by allowing players to select cards from a limited pool of options. This can be done by picking cards that they have been dealt, buying cards from a deck, or choosing cards from a deck. 3 games that utilize card drafting that I will be focusing on today are Sushi Go, Dominion, and 7 Wonders. Now, if you want to understand card drafting in a simple and quick way, Sushi Go, the 2013 game, is a very good place to start. Sushi Go is a game that allows players to choose sushi cards to end the game with the most points. Now, this game uses a card drafting mechanism called pick and pass to utilize this mechanism. Each player at the beginning of the game is drafted an equal random amount of cards. And to set the scene for you, let's say you are the character in red here, and you have been given a pudding card, a squid nigiri card, and an egg nigiri card. From these cards, you have to choose one. Now, there are many different ways you can go about this. Maybe you choose the squid nigiri card or the egg nigiri card because they both have values of 3 and 1, which are decently high. But maybe you want to play a different strategy of choosing a pudding card because even though it has no value currently, at the end of the game, the player with the most pudding cards will gain 6 points and the player with the least amount of pudding cards loses 6 points. But in this scenario, let's say we want to choose the highest value card, the squid nigiri. After choosing your card, and as well as your other players choosing their cards, all of you will put down your card face down in the middle of the table. Once everyone is done choosing, then you will all reveal your cards to each other. Now, this leads to an interesting decision because not only can you see what other players have chosen, they can see what you have chosen. So not only you, but your partners as well can maybe choose other cards to stop other players from getting cards that may strengthen their own hands. After each card is chosen and revealed, the pick mechanism is done. Now we move on to pass. After we have chosen a card, each player will pass their discarded pile of cards that they have not chosen around the circle in a clockwise or counterclockwise motion. Now you have been given a new hand of cards from your neighbor, and you have been given your hand of cards to your neighbor to your left. Now you will choose a card from this hand, pick it, reveal it to the other group, and pass the rest. This will be done until you're handed one final card, closing your hand, and then the points are totaled at the end of the game to see who has the most points. Pick and pass gives interesting decisions by allowing players to choose their own hand of cards and to choose their own strategy that they'd like to employ. It gives creativity and imagination to an otherwise simple game. But if Sushi Go was the most modern card drafting game, then what was the first card drafting game? That would be the 2007 game Dominion. This is a monarchy-based game in which you are monarchs trying to build the biggest civilization possible and end the game with the most victory points. Here, card drafting is not done through pick and pass, but by the purchasing and picking of cards on your turn. To begin, each player is given 10 cards, 7 coin cards and 3 estate cards. And then once you're given these cards, you shuffle them and place them all into a pile on your left. To start the turn, you will draw 5 cards from this pile, and you will have those to play on your turn. So to set the scene, let's say you have drawn 4 copper cards and 1 estate card. Now there are a few things you can do here. You may choose to purchase any of these cards laid out before you, and you can do that by looking at the cost in the bottom left-hand corner. You may want to purchase coin cards, action cards, or estate cards. But let's say you would like to purchase this militia card. As you can see from its coin value, it has a value of 4. And since you have drawn 4 coin value cards in this turn, you can purchase it. To end your turn, you would pick up the card that you'd like to purchase, take all of your cards in your hand, and place them in the discard pile on your right. When it's your turn again, you would draw 5 from your left hand pile again. implement an action or purchase a card, and then discard them on your right once more. Now you might be thinking, what happens when I run out of cards? In that case, you would take your discard pile from your right, shuffle them, and place them back on your left, and now the cards that you have purchased will start appearing in your hand. Now typically the game ends when all of the estate cards, provinces, or duchy cards have been purchased and all the victory points have been gone from the deck. In this case, all of the victory points are totaled, including the coin cards that you have collected, to see who has the most victory points at the end of the game. Now, here card drafting allows for different strategies as well. Some players may want to purchase as much coin cards as they can to end up to be the richest player at the end of the game, which then transfer into a low amount of victory points. Some players may like the straightforward approach and purchase only duchies, provinces, and estates to get those victory points right away. Some may want to spice up the game a little bit and purchase action points to either strengthen themselves or hurt their components. Card drafting allows for diversity and creativity within this gameplay. And whatever strategy you may want, card drafting will allow you to have. But what if I told you there is a game that implemented the simple pick and pass method of Sushi Go and the purchasing action strategy method of Dominion? This would be the 2010 game 7 Wonders. This game, like Dominion, is a monarchy-based game where you try to have the biggest and best civilization by ending the game with the most victory points. Similar to Dominion as well, each player starts with 7 cards. These can be resource cards, buildings cards, or militia cards, and each card drafted is random. So after each player has drafted a random set of cards, then the pick and pass is implemented. But this time, it's a little bit different. In each turn, players can either buy cards, sell cards, or build their wonder by the cards they have chosen. If you choose to use a resource card, you may lay that on your board, or you can use it to build your wonder. You can also choose civilization. You can also choose building cards in which you may want to build because that can give you more coins or lead directly to victory points. You may want to choose militia cards because at the end of each age, whoever of your team has the most military cards wins that military round. This leads to players having many different strategies to choose from, whether it be pure victory points through building your wonder, having the most military wins that end the end of the game lead to more victory points, or having the most money from selling cards to your neighbors or to the board on each turn in the pick and pass. These can all lead to different wins, and depending on who you are, you may want to choose a different strategy than the people you are playing with. Each player can choose a path that is perfect for them, and while all of these games implement card drafting, it's the decisions it leads to that allow for interesting gameplay. Like we saw in Sushi Go, pick and pass is a great way for a quick gameplay and each player to have an equal opportunity to win. In Dominion, the purchasing of cards allows for a diverse, long, fulfilling gameplay that allows for different strategies for each player. 7 Wonders implemented both the pick and pass strategies of Sushi Go and Dominion's purchasing action strategy to allow for a diverse, adventurously environment that leads to lasting memories and each player to have their best outcome within gameplay and strategy. And just like an ice cream sundae bar, card drafting is the perfect way to players to create their very own personalized sundae within a game.